Today is closing day. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm about to go meet with the realtor for a final walkthrough at the house. And then from there, we are going to go to the abstract office so I can sell my life away. I'm so excited. Stay tuned. I'll be doing an empty house tour pretty soon. Bye. Hey guys. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jay, and in today's video I am going to be giving you guys tips on how to purchase your own home and kind of sharing what I did and sharing my process a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first step to buying your first home is to get your financial affairs in order. And what I mean by that is you need to, one, build credit, and two, save money. So if you're young and you don't have a line of credit, I would recommend like maybe opening a credit card, like getting a credit card and buying a reasonable purchase or two that you can afford and that you know that you can pay off to kind of just add a couple of points to your credit score. And then saving money is especially big in the home buying process, just because, I mean, you're buying a house, so you're going to obviously need some money. So for me, in order for me to save money to buy my house, I was in grad school and I first kind of decided that, okay, the next spot I want to move in, I think I want it to be my own. So what I did, and this isn't going to be for everybody, but as a single mom, it really helped me. After graduation, I moved in with my mom, and a lot of people, like I said, it won't be for a lot of people, but it worked for me. I was able to save on rent, save on utilities, and of course I still pitched in, but that allowed me to save literally a couple of $1,000s a month. So I would definitely recommend that for those of you who have a good relationship with your parents and whose parents are not too far away from your job or whatever the case may be. If you can find a way to split the bill, it doesn't have to be with your parents, with anyone, I would recommend it. So that's kind of what I did. And then just other ways, there are so many ways to save for a house. You could buy a used car instead of a new one. You could downgrade sizes. So for me, like when I drive a 2-seater or like a SUV, but 2 rows, I guess. And I originally wanted a car with 3 rows, but logistically, like, it just didn't make sense. I have 1 child and it's going to cost more. Obviously, it's a whole lot more of a more vehicle, so you're going to pay more for it. So just kind of deciding your budget. Do you want an SUV? Maybe downsizing to a sedan, just small things like that. And then for me, I saved a ton of money by eating at home, and that one's hard for me because I love to eat out. That's how I bond with my friends. That's where, like, most, when you're wanting to catch up with your friend, it's like, hey, let's go get something to eat. So for me, that was a super big one because I do love going out to eat, and that's kind of like my love language. So that one was really hard, but I spend a ridiculous amount of money on food a month and eating out. So just when I was trying to buy the house, I completely stopped for the most part. I would maybe do like twice a month going out to eat, but I saved so much money. So I would definitely recommend that. And then just small things, and they're not fun things, but I stopped getting my nails done. I stopped getting my hair done and started rocking the fro. Just different things like that that saved me money in the long run, I would recommend. And then the next part is getting pre-approved for a house. So that's step 2. The next step for me was getting pre-approved for a loan. And what that entails is they're going to run your credit score, which is why I stress in the first step that you need to have your credit in order, because that's one of the first things that they're going to do. People are going to do, and lenders are going to do, to verify whether or not you can afford a home. So with that, I want you guys to be cautious. Even if you have amazing credit, they're going to throw you a extremely large number, like 500,000%. Oh, great, your credit's great. You've been approved for a $500,000 loan. Just because you are approved for a $500,000 loan does not mean you should go and buy a $500,000 house. So I just want you guys to be cautious, because the more house that you buy, and depending on how much you put down on your down payment, the more your monthly payment is going to be. So I suggest that you kind of be aware of that when you buy, because like I said, just because you're approved does not mean you should buy that much house. And this is also circumstantial. So where I'm from, $500,000 will buy you a whole lot of house, like honestly a ridiculous amount of house. But if you're like in Los Angeles or New York, it may not buy you as much. So just kind of knowing your area and your region and how real estate sells helps as well. So yeah, the big lesson with that is just because you've been approved to buy it does not mean that you should buy that much house. Especially if you're not putting 20% down, because the less you put down, the more you're going to end up paying. So being like aware and causing it, ooh, I don't remember that word. Being aware of that is what kind of like matters in this situation. So I always recommend, and this is just for me, most people say you don't spend more than 30% of your income on living. I'm going to like downplay that a little bit and say don't spend more than 25% of what you make on living and like housing. And that's just my personal opinion, especially as a single mom. You have so many other things. For me as a single mom, there are so many other things that pop up and may arise. So the more money I can have extra a month, the better. So the next step in the process, step 3, is to find a realtor that you trust and that has your best interest in mind. So with realtors, you're going to find realtors that are going to see how much you've been pre-approved for, and they're going to go, oh yeah, let's go look at, they're going to like take you out to these big like $500,000 houses, and they're going to show you luxury and this and that, and that's not what you need. You need someone that's going to be realistic with your budget, that's going to keep your priorities and I guess you like yourself, you in mind in general. So for me, you want to make sure you have a realtor that understands your budget and understands just because you've been approved for something does not mean you want to go buy a house at that amount. So having a realtor that's going to be honest with you and be transparent and put your best interest in mind, and if you're a parent, your child's best interest in mind is best, because those realtors, a lot of them, and it's unfortunate, are getting a cut of that money. So of course, if they can sell you a house at top dollar, they are, because they're going to take home a nice check for it. So making sure that you have a realtor that has your best interest in mind is so important. So for me, my realtor, honestly, and this doesn't happen too often, but my realtor is also the person that was helping the owner sell the house. So she was kind of able to go back and forth and help us find middle ground, which is super awesome. But on top of that, my little brother and her son play baseball together. So my mom and her had that little baseball mom thing going. So she knew my family, I knew hers, and she was just someone that I trusted, and I knew that she wouldn't lead me astray. So it's so important to pick a realtor that has your best interest in mind. My next tip, so tip number 4 would be to, I guess the next step, really, not really tip, is after like you've met with the realtor and you've picked a house and maybe you're in contract and you're in that negotiation stage. For me, I ended up negotiating down. So once the house has been appraised, kind of get your quote, and I ended up negotiating about $5,000 down from what the owner was offering. And my realtor also got it put to where the previous owner, was responsible for the closing cost. So that ended up in the long run saving me about $8,000 to $10,000. So making sure you kind of know how to negotiate in that process is a big deal, because you don't want to end up paying more than what you have to. And so that was a big part. So then the next step and next tip is getting your house inspected, and this is actually pretty huge. So when you get your house inspected, depending on what state you're in or what area, you're going to pay anywhere between $400 and like $750 to have the home that you're choosing to buy inspected. So what that entails is they're going to check every inch of the house that you're going to buy. They're going to check the tiles on the roof. They're going to check the cracks in the walls. They're going to check the foundation. They're going to check insulation, all of that. So they'll go through, and it takes about 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4 if you're buying like a huge house. And they're going to kind of give you the rundown on the house. And once you get that report, it's up to you to decide, hey, I want to go ahead and purchase this home and I'll fix the repairs myself. Or, hey, I don't want to buy this home until the owner fixes it. Or you may just, if there are that many problems, you may just choose to buy another house. So for me, I was super fortunate. The person that did my inspection actually said that it was the best house he had ever inspected, and that it was in almost perfect condition. I think the only thing that was wrong with the house was that like one of the tiles on the ceiling was kind of out of place. So I got a really lucky home inspection, but sometimes you're gonna run into inspections where like there's plumbing issues, there's issues with the HVAC or AC unit, and you've got to decide as a potential buyer if that's something that you want to go ahead and purchase the house and you want to fix yourself, or if you want the owner to fix it. And if that owner is not willing to fix it, then you may have to back out of the house. So just keeping those kind of things in mind. I think that played a super big role in me deciding to buy the house, because for me, this house in general, I was like, the price is great. The neighborhood's great. It looks like it's in good condition. So I was kind of nervous, like, okay, I'm going to have this inspection done and the house is going to be awful. And that wasn't the case. So it just kind of felt right. So if you have a home inspection and you're kind of nervous and it doesn't feel right, I would recommend that you don't go through with it. But that's just my personal opinion. And then after you get that, I said appraisal earlier, but after you get the home inspection, then the appraisal comes, and then you're kind of in limbo. But for me, the next tip I'm going to have, like, once you've gotten pre-approved, you've picked your house, you have your realtor, you've got your inspection. It's gonna be pretty quiet for a couple of weeks, which honestly, it's awful in the waiting. It's like a waiting game, and you got your lender and all that good stuff. I'm going to advise you against making any large purchases. And what I mean by that is, don't do anything that's going to change your credit score while you're kind of in limbo. So do not go apply for a new credit card. Do not, and this is of course like once you're in contract, do not go buy a new car. Do not do any of that. Anything that it's going to require a seller or a lender to run your credit, do not do, because the lender for your mortgage is going to back out. So just being cognizant of that, and like just don't do it. Don't do it. I would highly recommend, advise against doing that. So those are kind of my tips. And with my home buying process, it may be different than the next person's, but I hope this is helpful. Thank you guys for listening, and hopefully this will give you kind of an idea. If there was anything that you kind of didn't get from this video, or you had some more questions, feel free to comment below or send me an email. Thank you guys for watching.